Shit, hold up.
Oh, shit.
My bad.
You getting his in?
Yeah.
I wish I had one right now. I was about to go to the store, but I'm like, fuck, we gotta start. All right.
All right, here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Informed Moron, baby. Football's right around the corner. Preseason is done after today. We got motherfucking football coming back. But we're going to get into the rest of this draft that we covered last week. Dylan Ito, back and looking handsome as ever. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing well. Got to see my mom and my sister this weekend. They're in town. It's my mom's birthday. She came to visit a friend. I happened to be in Colorado too, so
nice.
It was nice. It was a good time. Went on a few hikes on a big hiker, but it was cool. Cool to see the fam. First time in a while. First time since like Christmas. So solid fam. Now football's around the corner. That's where the mindset's at. Trying to win some money. Trying to win a fantasy league. I need to get my name on a trophy somewhere. So
let's go.
Get into this.
Happy belated birthday to Cindy. It sounds like an awesome time out there. I'm glad you're hanging out with the fam. And let's get into it, baby. Let's do it. All right. So we'll pull up the rest of this draft board right here. We left off at about, I forget if it was exactly 4 or 5, but we'll start it at 4. Let's just do 4. My pick at the 410 spot, Michael Pittman. Also Keenan Allen right here. A couple of good wide receivers that I think you can target in later rounds that are very productive. And around the same area, we got Adam Thielen going off the board. We have DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, DJ Moore. These are a bunch of wide receivers that I think are going to have a good season. But what's your favorite pick in this 4th and 5th round when it comes to wide receiver? Which ones are you liking, Dylan?
So this 4th and 5th round, I think Terry McLaurin really stands out. I don't know why. I thought Terry McLaurin was older than 26. He's still a really young wide receiver.
Yeah.
When we're talking about a dynasty league, that's a great pick. And if you're talking about even just a redraft league, that's a great pick. He's got a new quarterback in Carl Wentz. I know his name's Carson. Yeah, it's more like a Carl. But the guy puts up numbers. He's going to give him the ball a lot more than Heineke did. Heineke's got an arm about a really good high school quarterback. And so putting someone with an arm like Carson in the quarterback spot, I mean, the guy's going to put up more numbers than he has been. And he's been a top 10 receiver, I want to say, the last 2-3 years since he's been in the league. And it's hard to not go with the guy like that. It looks like he's actually wide receiver 24 last year. Was he hurt or something?
I don't remember. I want to say he wasn't, but I remember him putting up some big numbers. But you got to remember that he didn't have really anybody. Oh shit, Nick's calling me. He didn't really have anybody throwing to him, right? He had Tyler Heineke. So, and then I think Tyler Heineke got hurt, and someone else came in, and I forget who that was. Wasn't it? Actually, didn't the season start off with Fitzmagic over there? If I remember correctly.
Something like that. I don't really remember, man. The Washington football team were kind of just like in the background all season, I feel like. You didn't really hear much about them. Their run game went to shit, and Chase Young got hurt really early in the season. And I think that kind of took away a lot from their defense, which was going to be their strong point. So they should be a lot better this year. And, yeah, I really actually don't remember watching a Commanders game last year.
I don't think too many people watch the Commanders at all. I think just Commanders fans, and even them probably didn't watch too many games. But I think it will improve. It will improve with Carson Wentz there. I know a lot of people talk shit about him, but I think he is a step up from what they've had these last couple years. But it's still a pretty bad situation when it comes to quarterback. But looking at Terry McLaurin and what he's been able to do, now getting a more consistent guy that can actually somewhat throw the ball. He's going to make mistakes, but that won't reflect on Terry McLaurin's numbers. And I also think them bringing in Jahan Dotson will actually help him out a little bit because he is the number 1 over there for sure. He still is the number 1. He'll get the best cornerbacks against him. But having that second guy that's also a big threat is going to ultimately lead to him being able to get some of the attention off him, especially if Jahan starts doing well, which I believe he will. I think he's going to be one of the top wide receivers in this rookie class this year. But we'll see how it goes. That's just my prediction. But I do agree. I do like that pick It is kind of scary for me to go with just because he is a Commander. And I don't know. I had Antonio Gibson on my roster last year. It didn't work out too well. It's just kind of sketchy going with those bad teams. I'm not a big fan of that. I tend to stay away from them. I don't like really the Carolina roster too much, especially with Baker going over there. Maybe some guys like Robbie Anderson really, really late might be good, or you could pick him up off waiver wires if he starts to do good. But like DJ Moore, I kind of want to stay away from that. But who knows? I could be totally wrong. I'm wondering, Terry McLaurin's great. I like him a lot. But what do you think about Deontay Johnson this year? I know he's been putting up some pretty good numbers, but I'm kind of hesitant when it comes to that as well, because he's got Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett. Do you think he'll see a little more value in fantasy football, or do you think he might fall a little bit this year?
Man, I've been kicking myself in the ass for that pick. He did great last year. He was wide receiver number 8. And the fact that he dropped that far in the draft, I felt like he's one of those guys that at that point I had to take him after being wide receiver 8 last year. Mm-hmm. And I keep hearing that they have a downgrade at quarterback going from Big Ben to Kenny Pickett or Trubisky. But let's not forget, it wasn't the Big Ben of the past. It wasn't the Big Ben that was winning Super Bowls and breaking tackles in the backfield. And he was an old man who could barely throw a football at that point. And so I don't think it's that much of a downgrade. Now, what I'm wondering is if Deontay Johnson will be used in the same way. He had a very high usage rate last year. It seemed like they were really trying to get him the ball on a lot of screen plays, short passes, any way to get the ball in his hands. They were kind of doing it. But I'm hearing a lot of talks about George Pickens, the Georgia wide receiver. And I think he's actually going to end up taking a lot of that attention or a lot of the usage rate away from Deontay Johnson. And starting to scare me because that guy looks like he's going to be an absolute freak. One of the guys who seems like every year for the past few years, there's been one rookie that steps in and is an instant impact on the team. And I think that's going to be George Pickens this year. And so if that happens, Deontay Johnson's value goes straight downhill. And so I have him on the trade block. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I can get rid of him as the wide receiver 8 and get that type of value. But I don't know. It's a real coin toss with him.
Yeah, I mean, I still like the pick. I think he's going to do fine, but definitely George Pickens coming in is a little scary because I do see him as a special player as well that will be productive. I mean, throughout the preseason, he's looking great. College, he'll be good. He's one of those feisty guys and fights all the time, not scared of anybody. So I like that a lot. And don't forget, they got rid of Juju Smith-Schuster, but they still have Chase Claypool. They still have Pat Freiermuth, which is a pretty good tight end and a pretty good slot wide receiver, which will also see targets. But with that being said, man, I think Deontay Johnson is very special. But I am a little concerned just with the quarterback and also bringing in a new weapon and George Pickens. I got to agree. Marquise Brown in Arizona now, Hollywood. What do you think about this guy? You think he's going to see a little bit more productivity being back with his college quarterback and Kyler Murray?
Yeah, well, he had a really bad hamstring tear. He didn't have one of those normal hamstring tears where you're still limping around, but you're able to walk. He had one of those hamstring tears where he was off his legs for a couple weeks. And we'll see how long that affects him for. If he comes back explosive and that's not going to be a big issue for him, he's only 25 years old. So maybe that soft tissue injury won't be as big of a deal as it is for someone like Julio Jones, who it's been bothering him for the past two and a half seasons. But yeah, if he comes back as explosive as he was last year, he has a dropping the ball issue. But besides that, the guy seems to always be open, always open deep. And Kyler Murray loves to just huck the ball up to his favorite receiver, who I think will be Hollywood Brown until DeAndre Hopkins comes back. So as long as he's healthy, he's going to put up some good numbers. That's actually one of the trades I'm trying to brew up, get rid of Deontay Johnson for a guy like Hollywood Brown. And you mentioned that he's going back to his college quarterback. We saw that work with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. We're going to see how it works this year. It seems like a lot more teams are doing it. It looks the Raiders picked up Devontae Adams and college roommates, best friends, possible butt buddies. Who knows?
Definitely. Who knows what went on in that dorm room? You know, it could have been some crazy shit, some wild drunk nights, especially in the desert of Fresno. You know, it gets boring. Got to play some.
Speaking of wild drunk nights, I want to touch on something real quick that's off the board in fantasy, but very football related. How about that Bills kicker, man? Did you hear about that? Matt Ariza?
I did, man. Pretty crazy shit. Let's recap it for the people that don't know too much about it. Matt Ariza is currently facing a civil lawsuit from a alleged victim of his that he supposedly drugged and raped her. She was 17 years old at the time. She said that she performed oral sex on him. They had sex outside, and then they went inside upstairs, and he continued to have sex with her there, and then brought in a couple of his fellow teammates from San Diego State to gang rape her for about an hour and a half. So the Bills were aware of this situation before they draft him. I guess the district attorney's office did drop the pending investigation against him. And now, because of the civil lawsuit being filed and all the drama going on social media, they got rid of his ass. So, yeah, what do you think about that, Dylan? I want to hear your 2 cents.
Well, I thought the whole situation was crazy. I thought it was weird that he was the third punter off the board during the draft because I hadn't heard anything of this. And it seems like they kept it pretty hush hush until the draft actually started. But what surprises me is you mentioned it. The Bills had to have known that this was on the table, and they cut their punter that the Colts actually ended up picking up. I can't think of his name right now. But the whole situation is just crazy to me. I don't know how this guy actually got onto a football team before this got settled. I mean, he can punt a football 80 yards, which is also incredible, but can't be doing that shit. Can't have it. Can't have it in the NFL. Can't have it in society. Yeah. It's just a crazy situation that I think needs to be touched on. Just NFL teams, listen up, man. Stop drafting fucking idiots, you know? Yeah. Just look at character. These are guys who are paying a lot of money, and yeah, can't have it. What do you think about this whole thing?
I think it's pretty fucking crazy. Like, obviously, you can't have that in the NFL, whether he did it or not. Just to have that drama surrounding a player, I don't think it's really worth it, especially in this day and age. These are guys that kids are looking up to. I was reading some reports, and for the most part, right now, it seems like it's a lot of this girl having like her claims against him, and it's not really a lot of evidence, which is pretty fucked up, because if this did happen, it seems like the police were kind of dragging their feet on it, and it was conducted by San Diego police. So like you're saying, this guy can punt a ball 80 fucking yards, so it wouldn't be the first time that a local police station would cover up for one of their guys, especially when they're having one of the best seasons of all times. So I'm a little conflicted. I need to wait a little bit more to see more about this story, because it seems like when stories like this immediately come out, every media outlet is just rushing to put out a story, whether it's true or whether it's false. So I just am like, dude, I don't know what to believe. Like, there's two different sides of the coin. This guy's saying he didn't do it, that it was consensual, but at the same time, no matter if it was consensual, she was 17, he was 21. So that's statutory rape right there, which can be felony. So I honestly have to put the blame on the Bills a lot right here, because they knew about this. It's actually known that they knew about this months before the draft, and they still decided to go with them and cut their punter, which it's like, dude, why even put yourself into this position? But also on Matt Ariza, like, come on, man, what are you doing? You're one of the best punters of all time in college, and you're going to San Diego State, and you have to mess around with a 17-year-old, or possibly you drugged her in order to gang rape her. Like, dude, I bet you can find a bunch of chicks out there that would have been down to be trained by the boys at San Diego State, that weren't 17, that you didn't have to gang rape. So my prayers are with the victim right now and with the family. Obviously something happened. So yeah, dude, it's just like wild to me. I was tripping out over this. It's not acceptable in football. And let's not forget, if he was a quarterback, he might still be in the league, and he might be facing a 9-game suspension. We got Deshaun Watson over here. You know, he's jerking off on masseuses and everything. And it's just like, dude, what's going on in the NFL? These guys really think they could get away with anything. And it seems like they can, because they got the money for good lawyers. So it's like, what the fuck, dude?
And that's the point I was actually starting to get to, is so Deshaun Watson just signed the highest contract in football history of guaranteed money. Matt Ariza still gets drafted after them knowing this. Is this going to become a common theme? Are a lot of these cases going to start coming out because people are upset. A lot of women are upset about this. And
Yeah.
do you see this becoming like a bigger issue than just these two players? Do you think it's going to extend outside of this, or do you think this is just two isolated incidents that happen to be close in time frame?
I think that it's just something that's in football. It's like a culture around football. Not that that makes it right or anything, but I think in today's day and age with social media and with people not being as ashamed of stuff that happened to them, speaking out, talking to people, which is healthy, and we know that now. I think a lot of shit is coming to light, and football players were getting away with a lot because of their status inside of the schools, their status inside of society, financially. They were able to get away with this stuff. And a lot of times, like we see attitudes with men or attitudes with people that are in the sport, they go, oh, well, this guy, he's in the NFL. They're targeting him for financial gains, or they're just, he doesn't need to rape chicks. I mean, he's one of the best football players. Why would he need to do that? So a lot of times people gave them the benefit of the doubt. They didn't believe the women. But now we kind of have to take a look at it and be like, okay, what's going on here? I think education for the young players, education for the kids inside of school, tell them these horrible stories that have happened, and just let them learn from others' experience so they don't have to go through it themselves. It's just, I don't know really what to think, but you always hear these horror stories about football players. Like one of the players that was on the Niners and the Cowboys, I forget his name. He was like a big old defensive lineman, one of the best defensive linemen. He's like in the Hall of Fame. I forget his fucking name. Big old black dude. But this guy used to pull out his dick all the time, like everywhere he went, because he had a huge hog, and like he would put it on people's shoulder. He'd whip it out like on chicks and like slap them with it. Like he just was proud of it, and he could get away with it. And like everyone knows of this story. Look at Big Ben. Big Ben
Yeah.
like 3 chicks, and he won a bunch of Super Bowls. Kobe Bryant. I mean, Kobe Bryant got accused of raping a woman. They settled in court. Who knows what the truth is behind that? But it's just like time and time again, we see this in a lot of athletic sports here in America. And I believe it has to do with their status and their financial status. And I don't know. What do you think about it?
I just think it's crazy, man. And when I heard that story, I was just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, how does this keep happening? And like you touched on it, man. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of girls out there down to fucking run a train with the football team there. They're everywhere, you know? And
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy that he picked a 17-year-old girl to fucking drug. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm just wondering how big of an issue it actually is, because like they say, man, usually when you hear about something like it's not only happening once, it's usually a bigger issue than just one isolated time. And how many people in the NFL are going to get busted for this? And hopefully it's no more. Hopefully that these are just two sickos that happen to, do bad things, and they get punished for it. Deshaun Watson, I guess, got fined $5 million out of his 230. So I guess that's something. So let's get back to football talk, though.
Yeah, we're getting
enough of that. I just thought that was fucking crazy, that whole Matt Ariza thing. I hadn't heard anything like that. Fucking, I don't think ever.
No.
Where not to that extent, where it was like he brought a 17-year-old in with a bunch of his teammates. Like, just crazy shit, man.
Dude, and then like I don't really have any friends that like. Where do you find roofies or like drugs in order to drug?
I don't know. And I've done a lot of drugs in my day, Damon, and I really cannot answer that. I lived with a couple people who sold drugs.
Yeah.
And still, I've never seen roofies. I've never heard of anyone selling roofies, anyone taking roofies. I know it was a big problem at my college, actually, among some fraternities. A couple of fraternities ended up getting kicked off campus. The same kind of thing, roofing chicks, and it all came out. And yeah, there's a few frats that got kicked off campus, but still, like I've never been exposed to it. I've never even seen or heard of anyone taking it or using them. So
yeah,
crazy shit, man.
Yeah, I know a lot of sickos out there too, and none of them have really had to resort to that to sleep with women. Like, it's like, come on, man. Especially if you're one of the best punters of all time, just do better, man. Find some dimes that are down, and I guarantee you'd find it, especially with that NFL contract. But it's bad, dude, and a shame too, because that guy can punt the fuck out of the ball. They call him the punt god. So
yeah, they called him the most marketable punter, the only marketable punter of all time,
yeah.
since Pat McAfee probably. And so it's like, god damn, man, just to throw all that away for what? So
For raping a chick. But I think the Bills now, they need a punter. So I might see. I think for some reason they might get Marquette King. You know who Marquette King is?
I do
The
know who
punter,
Marquette King is. Yeah, the old Raiders punter.
the old Raiders punter. For some reason, he like immediately popped in my head, and I was like, I guarantee that's going to be their new punter. Let's see if I'm right. I just got that gut feeling. And sometimes I'm right about this. Like when shit doesn't make any sense at all, I just for some reason get a feeling and I just roll with it. I'm calling it right now. Marquette King to the Bills, but we will see. Yeah, fuck. Now I'm all depressed, man. That shit's hella sad.
Yeah, dude, I should have fucking got it to that. Dude, maybe we should restart this shit. Who knows? Start talking about fantasy football.
Unfortunately, you know, real shit happens in life and in football sometimes, and you got to touch on it and just talk about it and let people know. And yeah, fuck it. I mean, this is a good show, and we got to let the people fucking reflect on some crazy shit that goes on. But back to the board. Back to the board, baby. So we're covering the 4th and the 5th round still. We're talking about wide receivers, but let's get in to the running backs that you can find in the 4th and the 5th round. Let's see if I can get up here. What the fuck's going on? Boom. Okay. So in the 4th round, this is when shit starts dropping down a tier a little bit. We are talking about that last time. We are talking about like Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Saquon. And then we're going to get into this area right here. In the 4th round, we got James Conner, Aaron Jones, Cam Akers. In the 5th, we got Travis Etienne, or however you say his last name. Etienne. There we go. Excuse me. Antonio Gibson, Josh Jacobs, J.K. Dobbins, Elijah Mitchell, David Montgomery. These are the kind of running backs you can get in the 4th, 5th, extending all the way into the 6th. Leonard Fournette, a guy that you love. Dude, how did AJ Dillon slip to the 7th? That's what
I have no clue. That was weird, man. I have no clue. That was an absolute mess up by the league. I don't know how Leonard Fournette went before AJ Dillon. They're literally 100%. The same guy, and one's 24 years old and one's 27 and came to camp weighing 250. So just weird, but it is what it is. Leonard Fournette's also a good running back. But you mentioned it, man. It's crazy how the running backs seem to have these huge tiers. Like, it's like you have your A tier, your B tier, and now we're down to the C tier. And all these guys have some kind of question mark next to their name at this point in the draft. And it's like some of these guys really could boom, and some of these guys could end up bagging groceries pretty soon. And you just don't know which way it's going to go by the time you're at this point in running back. So you see a lot of people start stacking up on them at this point. What do you think about who's your favorite running back out of these rounds? Who do you like? Who do you not like? Who do you think went too early?
I think Josh Jacobs went super early in the 5th round. I do not like that pick at all. I know Greg got him. He's a very smart dude, but I just don't like Josh Jacobs this year. He did hop out that pick, and it was because of me opening my fat mouth. And I'm like, you better get Zamir White, because Zamir White is the new rookie that we drafted from Georgia. He's a touchdown machine. He's a bully. They're going to put him in when they're close to the goal line. So I anticipate him getting a lot of touchdowns as opposed to Josh Jacobs. And we got a new head coach, Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, old offensive coordinator. We see his style of offensive play. He likes a running back by committee. We also signed 2 other running backs, Amir Abdullah, and then I forget the other guy's name, but he's pretty good. And everyone's going to get split work. He's going to be bringing them in all the time. So the only running back I really like from the Raiders this year is Zamir White, because I anticipate him having a lot of touchdowns, which will give you some nice points, especially in our league for rushing touchdowns and everything. But I believe he went way too early. And also, I don't like David Montgomery this year. Not that I don't think he'll put up some good numbers and everything, but we saw Khalil Herbert emerge last year when he was hurt, and he put up some good numbers. And I think that they're going to be a running back by committee for those 2 as well. So I anticipate his numbers dropping down a little bit. Although in the 6th, that's not too bad. My favorite, A.J. Dillon, and you got him in the 7th. I mean, I've been seeing him in a lot of leagues going in the 4th and 5th. So to get him in the 7th, that's an absolute steal. And I think he's going to have a good year because we've seen Aaron Jones get hurt before. And even if he doesn't get hurt, he's going to still get some runs in. They like to pass to him. He's a pretty good pass catching back. And he's got huge fucking quads. So when they're close to the goal line, they're putting A.J. Dillon. They're not putting in Aaron Jones. He's a fucking absolute tank. What about you? What are your opinions on this 4th, 5th, 6th, extending even to the 7th round with running backs?
So we mentioned some of the question marks. I think J.K. Dobbins is a guy who could end up just having an absolute monster of a season, but he could also not return the same guy. Same with Cam Akers. Cam Akers tore his Achilles 2 years ago, and he didn't play almost all of last year. He got to come back for playoffs. Another guy that might have missed a step. We'll see what happens. Aaron Jones, you touched on it. A.J. Dillon might take over the majority of the reps in the backfield. He's most likely going to be the goal line type guy. Probably have more touchdowns than Aaron Jones by the end of the season.
Yeah.
James Conner was number 5 running back in the league last year, which that was fucking shocking to me. I had no clue that he had that kind of season.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens to him. He's a cancer survivor. Guy's a dog. I'm not going to say anything negative about him. Hopefully he has another good year. Antonio Gibson, you touched on that. That's a guy that both of us had on our team that we tried to get rid of as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because he just wasn't the same guy. It looked like J.D. McKissick actually ended up taking over a majority of the reps in that backfield in that offense.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs, you say you don't like him. He's an unbelievable football player when he's on the field. He's hurt a lot. I know exactly what you're saying, how McDaniels likes to go running back by committee. But Josh Jacobs is 24 years old, so I think he has a few years left of putting up numbers. But you watch the Raiders a lot more than I do. So
well, the only thing is, I don't think that Josh McDaniels wants to keep him around because he was due for an extension this year. We decided not to extend him at all. So he does have a bright future, but I don't think it will be on the Raiders. I think next year he's gone.
So do you think that's a positive or a negative for him going forward? Depends where he lands.
I think it'll be a positive for him, but it all depends on where he goes. I mean, he could go to a horrible team that doesn't really have a good running offense.
Yeah.
But I believe his age, his skill set, I think he's really good. I think he's one of the top running backs in the league, but it's just the system that he's going to be in this year. We just brought over Devontae Adams. We have Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. I believe we're going to try to pass this year. So I'm just scared to see what happens with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for yes, that's a pick, and he's young. He's good. So I think he'll be set with him.
Yeah, I think in a redraft league, I think the best running back taken in these rounds would be Leonard Fournette. I think Leonard Fournette's a guy who's going to get his touchdowns. He's going to get his passes out of the backfield from Tommy. But as far as a dynasty league, I don't know if Leonard Fournette's the guy. He just signed a 3-year contract, so he does have a couple more years going forward. But we'll see what happens with him. He seems to have been slowly losing a step. So I know he came to camp out of shape, but now he's in shape, and coaches are happy with where he's at, as the report. So we'll see what happens with him. I think he was the safest pick in terms of getting points this year and being productive this year. Elijah Mitchell, a guy who every time he was on the field ran for 100 yards last year.
Yeah.
But you know how the Niners are. They haven't had the same leading rusher in back-to-back seasons for the last 10 years since Frank Gore was around.
Right.
And so it's almost like, who is it going to be this year? Probably not Elijah.
I heard Trey Sermon, I heard, is doing really, really good this year in camp.
Yeah, he looked really good in the preseason games. Pretty much the only guy, him and that running back out of LSU, I thought looked really good. But we'll get further on the Niners pretty soon here once we start talking about quarterbacks in this league. I got a lot of stuff to say about one of them.
Right. Let's touch, though, on one thing that I do want to mention, some running backs that I really, really like. It's in the later rounds, though, but I believe it's a really good value. Right here in the 10th, Rashad Penny. I think that's a great guy to target in the later rounds if you're strapped for some running backs. We know that the Seahawks like to run. Pete Carroll likes to run. No more Russ. Geno Smith is the one. Drew Lock at the 2. So we know they're going to start running a lot. But Kenneth Walker, new guy that they drafted, but he's currently battling a sports hernia. He had to get a surgery on that, so he's going to be out for a few weeks. Yeah, so that's going to ultimately lead to Rashad Penny carrying the load. And then another guy that I like, Chase Edmonds, coming into a new system. Josh McDaniels, we know he likes receiving backs, and we know Chase Edmonds is a very good receiving back. He's looking great in the preseason. If he's still around in the later rounds, go after these two guys. And Dameon Pierce, who was drafted in the 12th, he's going up the draft boards right now. He's looking like the #1 running back on the Texans. There's a question mark around that because it's the Texans. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen with them? But with that being said, getting a guy in the 12th round as a 1 on any team, that's an absolute value still, especially when he's a rookie and especially when he had as good as a season as he did in college. I love to take guys that do good in college because I feel like it's going to transfer to the NFL, but that's not always the case. So we'll see. And even James Cook, I got him in the 9th. He's kind of going in the 9th and 10th. That is kind of a big jump, but I really like him. He's on the Buffalo Bills, especially in Dynasty. I want to have a guy that's a pass-catching back and that has Josh Allen on the roster because you're going to get points. Some weeks maybe it'll be tough, but I still like the pick. Who are your favorites in the later rounds, like down here in the 11th, 12th, 13th? I mean, you went with Michael Carter. I know that's one of your guys. And
yeah.
Only the #1, and I fucking drafted Breece Hall, so I'm kind of pissed off about that. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I'm stoked about that. I touched on it last episode that I thought Michael Carter was a stud and that he had a chance to take a lot of the reps. Reports coming out that he might take over the backfield. He is taking the 1 reps right now. Yep. And it doesn't surprise me at all. The guy is an absolute tank of a running back. He's freaking 5'8", like 210 pounds. Just reminds me of like a Maurice Jones-Drew with a little more explosion. A little bit worse vision, though. I couldn't be more stoked about what Michael Carter's doing. But you touched on Dameon Pierce. That, I think, is my biggest steal in these later rounds in terms of running backs. Mm-hmm. I think the Houston Texans remind me a lot of the Colts and where Andrew Luck kind of left the Colts. Right. Where Andrew Luck was kind of a couple years away from being in charge of a team that really did have a Super Bowl run in them. But when you lose your franchise quarterback, it's hard to replace that. And you see the Colts are still trying to replace that. They tried with Carl and they tried with Phillip Rivers. Now they're trying with Matt Ryan. We'll see how that goes. I think Matt Ryan is a great fit for that organization. But the difference is the Texans have a guy named Dougie Mills, Davis Mills. Right. And the guy that you drafted. And I think the Texans are on the up and up. So Dameon Pierce, I think, will end up being an RB1 within if not this year, within the next 3 years, guaranteed. I think that offense will end up exploding at some point. And I think Davis Mills is going to be a really good quarterback in this league. After watching him, and preseason doesn't show too much, but watching him all last year, watching him in the preseason this year, just the calmness in him. I think you could tell a lot of a young quarterback by the calmness and the way in their actions when they're in the pocket, the way they scan the field. You could look at their eyes. You could see what they're looking at. Are they staring at one thing? Are they really focused on trying to look around the field and go through their progressions? And then the next level, are they looking people off? And Davis Mills is at the point where he's looking people off. He's a Stanford guy. He's got brains. Yeah. And like I said, he's got a 5-star recruit talent. Like, He went too low in the NFL draft. He went too low in this fantasy draft. I don't think enough people talk about him or the Texans. The last time we saw the Texans last year you can't really count. They got absolutely screwed. They lost their franchise quarterback, like I touched on. And the year before that, they were in the AFC Championship or division game against the Chiefs up 24-0, I want to say, before Patrick Mahomes just absolutely took that game over. But, if you're up in the division or – I forgot which one it was, but when you're up 24-0 in a playoff game, you guys are doing something right. Like, you really should hold on to that game and win it. Yeah. And, so I think the Texans are going to be a good team. Don't count them out. Maybe not this year, but in the next few years, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with.
I agree. Like, a lot of people are staying away from the Texans, which might be a good strategy, but I think the same thing about the Texans. I like them. They got some good pieces. I like to root for the underdog sometimes, and I see them on the up and up too. So watch out for Davis Mills. I like Brandon Cooks. I took him in my draft. I really like Dameon Pierce, and we'll see what happens this year. We'll cross our fingers and see. Let's get into some of the quarterbacks being taken right now, and then we'll dive into some of our favorite players at each position. We'll do top 3 and everything and some sleepers. So
Okay.
we are looking at about the 4th down. We already covered Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts being taken by Rob in the 2nd and 3rd, kind of a reach. But let's get in down here. Got Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, Derek Carr, the sad, sad man, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Rapinhose, Matt Stafford, Tua, Tom, Trevor, Kirk. Who we liking in these later rounds? Obviously, we got the big boys coming off the board and Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar, Jalen, Kyler, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. Then it drops down a little bit. Who is your favorite and why in this pack?
I would have to say my favorite would be Derek Carr in that 5th round. I think Derek Carr is going to have an absolute monster of a season. He has so many weapons. I heard Devontae Adams saying that this pass game might not be stoppable, and I'm starting to believe it, man. Yep. Derek Carr is a great quarterback. When you put weapons like he has around him and an offensive coordinator like he has now, it's going to be hard to stop that offense. There's going to be a lot of freaking touchdowns being scored by that team.
Yep.
And yeah, I love Derek Carr. He's 5th round. You look at the 2 quarterbacks taken right before him, Russell Wilson, Trey Lance. Russell Wilson's a great pick too, but Russell Wilson, he's getting older. He's in a new program. I think they're going to be running the ball a lot. I think we're going to look at a Russell Wilson very similar to the Russell Wilson winning Super Bowls back with the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. So if you remember, Russell Wilson, when he was winning Super Bowls, wasn't necessarily just dicing up the field. He wasn't throwing the ball 40 times a game. He was throwing the ball more about like 26, 27 times a game, using a lot of the play action. And I think that's going to be the Broncos type of offense. I think it's going to be a run-first type offense where Russell Wilson's going to be able to play action and roll out where he's comfortable. He's not the best drop-back passer, scan the whole field, be able to dice to it any part of the field. If you look at Russell Wilson's spread, he likes to throw to the outsides of the field, and a lot of that's on rollouts. And so then you go to the worst quarterback out of these, because if you look at Russell Wilson, let's look at the quarterbacks from round 4 through 7. Okay. Russell Wilson, stud, proven. Derek Carr, stud, proven. Aaron Rodgers, stud, proven. Matt Stafford, stud, proven. Deshaun Watson, creepy, but stud, proven. And now let's look at a guy who's only thrown 350 passes since high school, and that is Trey Lance. How this guy went in the 5th round is just unbelievable. The hype around this guy is unbelievable. He's an absolute clown. I don't know what the Niners were doing. I got a lot of bets coming up about the Niners that you're going to be able to take advantage of. I actually started off my fucking gambling season on a cold streak because of this fucking loser. Guy's got no touch, can't read a field. Every time he has a check with me, fucking seems like he's running the ball into a blitz. It's unbelievable. He's the 3rd best quarterback on our team right now, and he's talked about as a dark horse MVP. But let me put shit in perspective here. Mac Jones threw more passes last year than Trey Lance has thrown since high school.
Wow.
Michael Boxnick threw more passes in high school than Trey Lance has in his career. I don't really understand the hype on Trey Lance. I don't understand how he got drafted 3rd overall. The Niners are fucked this year, and so is Freitas with that pick. I don't know. He listened to freaking Kyle Shanahan and trusted their guts, but they freaking ate the bones on that. What do you think about these quarterbacks? What do you think about Trey Lance, first off? Am I being too critical of him? Was I just a Jimmy G fan, and I'm sad that Jimmy's gone?
I think so. I think it's a little emotion coming in there. You know, you're a Niner fan. You wanted something better. I think there was better options as opposed to reaching for a guy at 3 in Trey Lance. But with that being said, I think he does have a lot of talent. He is a running quarterback, which a lot of teams like nowadays, and that's very good for fantasy. So I could see him being still productive for fantasy, kind of like Jalen Hurts last year. Jalen wasn't exactly the best quarterback, but if you had him on your fantasy team, he did enough to get you a W. But I just think he needs to develop more. He needs to learn how to pass, which we see he has an unbelievable arm. He could straight throw missiles. but
Yeah.
he makes a lot of mistakes. He's young. He hasn't thrown the ball a lot because in college he was relying
No.
on his athleticism. Kind of like he reminds me a lot of Kaepernick, which is funny. Like Kaepernick was the same way in college. He ran a majority of it because no one could stop him, and that's always what he did throughout his career. So he didn't need to change it. And then you get to the pros, and it's kind of a learning curve, and people are going to say he sucks. I'm sure people are going to be like, "What the fuck was that pass?" But I think you give him a year or two, and if he stays with Kyle, he'll be okay. I don't see him being like an absolute bust. But with that being said, when you're the third pick in the draft, people are going to have really, really high expectations of you. And when you have a passionate fan base like the Niners, there's going to be a lot of shit talking. So I would say just be ready to not have that great of a season. Give this guy some time, let him develop. Kyle Shanahan kind of fucked himself when it came to the cap space. You know, he really, really believed in Jimmy G. And I think a lot of people did. They signed him to that big deal, had to bring in some pieces, and then they had to sign those guys. They got Debo with the big contract now, so they can't afford him. I'm sure they would love to keep Jimmy G for another few years, keep Trey under his wing, learn some more. But they had to make a move. This is their guy. So I think he'll be okay, but I wouldn't have gone for him in the 5th round. With that being said, I would have waited a little later. And also Derek Carr, I think what you're saying is true. He is gonna be good this year, but I also think you could get Derek Carr in a later round, just because a lot of people aren't gonna have that belief in Derek Carr other than Raider fans. Like if you're in a league with some Raider fans, they might jump to get him. But the guy that I really like that I think is at a great value is someone that I passed on, but I kind of am kicking myself in the butt because I got Matt Stafford. I know he's more proven. He's on the Super Bowl champ, so that's why I went with Matt. But I really, really, really like Tua. I think Tua is going to be great this year. I think that the Miami Dolphins are going to have an amazing year. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. Let's not forget, Tua was on the trading block last year. They were talking the opening half of the year that Tua's gone. I think they were talking about bringing in Deshaun Watson, right? They're like, Deshaun Watson's going to be on that team. And I think that got into his head a little bit. Let's look at his stats. I remember in the first half him not doing too well. And then once he kind of knew that he wasn't going anywhere, he stepped up. So check this out. Week 6 against Jacksonville, 22, 28, Buffalo, 15, Baltimore, 11, 18, 11, 17, 14, where did it go? 10, 2, 12. Okay, he kind of ended the year a little shitty. But I just seen a lot of promise in him when he was on the field and actually out there doing his thing. Like, he looks good. And when you bring in a piece like Tyreek Hill, that's going to help you out substantially. You got Jalen Waddle on this team. You got Chase Edmonds on this team. You got Mike McDaniels calling the play. We've seen how that goes for the Niners. He's a fucking absolute evil genius. And I think that's just going to help Tua. And he knows that he's the guy now. He knows he's not going anywhere. He's got that self-belief, that confidence in him. I see him having a great year, and you can get him in late rounds. And I really like him. What do you think about Tua?
I really like him too. He's an accurate quarterback. He has a national championship under his belt. I might weigh too heavily into that, but in my mind, winners are winners, and there's something to be said about winning the national championship in college.
Yep.
And I just like the guy. I like the system he's going into. I know Kyle Shanahan gets a lot of credit for his offensive design and how he's the offensive guru, but you touched on it, man. Mike McDaniels is an evil genius, and he's been in the shadows, for a long time, and he's not in the shadows anymore. And I was having a conversation with my roommate about this. The Niners need to be careful, man. We might not have the same run game that we've been used to. We're picturing that we're going to have this huge run game and Trey Lance is only going to have to do what Jimmy did. But if you listen to reports coming out of Niners camps for the past few years, Kyle was not in charge of the run game. Mike McDaniels designed that whole entire run game and that run offense, and that was the bread and butter of the Niners. So you take that away, and who knows? We might be seeing the Niners out of the Miami Dolphins.
Dude, so I was watching the preseason game against the Dolphins and the Raiders, not this week, but last week. Dude, they look really fucking good. And Mike McDaniels was just locked in. His play calling was unbelievable. He just calls weird run plays, a lot of deceptive run blocking, making you think they're going one way and they just go the fucking other. Like, he thinks outside of the box, and he comes up with fresh ideas all the time. I just really like that squad. I don't really have too much evidence behind it, but watching their team, I'm like, I see something special, and I
Yeah.
know that he's not giving away all of his secrets yet. You're going to see a lot throughout the season, and that team just seems to be locked in. I'm seeing all kinds of videos every single day of Tua straight throwing dimes to Tyreek. Tyreek saying he loves this guy. He's giving him high praise, saying he's more accurate than Patrick Mahomes, which is an absolutely wild statement to say. No one's believing that, but I don't know, man. We got to see. And you're talking about winners are winners, guys that win championships you love. You got a guy in Trevor Lawrence in the 9th round, winner, champion, never lost a game until he got to college and the NFL. 9th round guy. I like that a lot. I know last year was shitty, but you can't forget what was going on over there in Jacksonville. Yeah. Urban Meyer's gone now. Different system. He seems to be happier. Last year, it didn't seem like he was even expressing himself at all. Like he was just always had a kind of a mad look on his face on the sideline. Looked like he was lacking passion or putting in effort at all. He just seems to be happier this year. Like I see him on the sidelines laughing with the guys. He's cracking smiles. He seems to be having fun. I think it's going to be a step up this year, and I think he's very young, very promising, and I believe he has a bright future. So I really like that pick in the 9th round for dynasty purposes. What was your philosophy behind picking Trevor Lawrence?
Well, it's kind of same thing, man. When you hear about a guy from the time they're a junior in high school and he proves it all the way through high school, goes into college, proves it, wins a national championship, ends up the number 1 overall pick. Anytime you have a guy at 17 being talked as the number 1 overall pick and then becomes the number 1 overall pick 4 years later, there's something special about the guy. He's not going to be an absolute bust.
Yeah.
He's been under the biggest lights. It's not like I have to worry about him folding under pressure.
Yeah.
Now, they picked up a lot of offensive weapons around him. They got rid of a coach that wasn't worth shit, doesn't fly back with the teams, ends up with some floozy, cheating on his wife. Like, just not a good guy to run an NFL organization.
Our college organization, for that matter.
Or a college organization. And, he just relied on recruits all these years, just like a lot of these college coaches do. A lot of these college coaches aren't masterminds. They're great talkers. They're able to convince parents and players that that's where they should go play football. Yep. And when you have guys that are freak athletes playing against guys who aren't or not as athletic, it's hard. Football is a very athletic dependent sport. If you're faster than someone, you're faster than them. If you're stronger than them, you're stronger than them. It's not something you can't coach that out of someone. It's not like baseball or something where repetition, and you'll end up better than someone twice as athletic as you. At a certain point, athleticism will dominate. And so you have a full team of 5-star recruits who are bigger, faster, stronger than a full team of 4-star recruits. That 5-star recruit team is going to win 95% of the time. I don't care who your coach is. I can go coach that team right now and win a national championship a lot of the time.
Yep.
And so that's my thoughts on Trevor Lawrence. But the guy you talked about, Trevor Lawrence being a winner, the guy right above him, that's the best winner of all time. His name's Tom Brady.
That's true.
Guy's got 5 years left. I think him and Giselle, I think they're done, which sucks for the family, but fucking great for me, great for football. Tom Brady will be fucking playing football for 5 more years. We'll see his ass in a few more Super Bowls. It's fucking a beautiful thing. I can't believe it. I'm so happy he wasn't on the Masked Singer. So you touched on it, though. He's looking a little creepy, a little thin. I don't know what's going on there. Looking like he's a little like Bruce during the transition, but hopefully I'm not gonna put that on anyone. Hopefully that's not gonna be happening. But guy's got 5 years of football left. He's an American hero.
Well, you just touched on it. We were talking about this before the podcast. I was like, dude, did you see Tom Brady last night in that interview? He's looking really skinny. It looks like he got some plastic surgery. So let me try to bring that up really fast. Or at least a picture. Did you have that picture?
No, I don't. But hey, while you're looking at that, I got something to talk about. You touched on Trey Lance being like Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
In college. So let's put it like this. Colin Kaepernick had twice as many completions is Trey Lance had passes in
Wow.
college. And
Yeah.
so
He was in D1, so like
and
that.
he was playing D1 football, so it's a little bit different of a situation. I watched we talked about how he's a running quarterback, and one thing I'll give Kaepernick is he was really good in the read option game. Trey
Mhm.
Lance, if you're watching the preseason, I saw two things that were really disturbing for me to watch our quarterback do that's supposed to be this athletic running quarterback. There was a third and about, I want to say 3rd and 4, maybe
Mhm.
even less, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, and he was rolling out right. He ended up not having anyone open and decided to take off. He got caught by the DN, and we didn't get the first down. That was concerning because if you're going to be a running quarterback, you got to be able to outrun DNs. Got to be able to get the edge on them. And then another thing I saw, 4th and short, and you could tell Kyle Shanahan really wanted to put up a touchdown with Trey Lance, and he was playing pretty much the whole first half. They made that very clear beforehand, and I think a lot of Niners fans, including myself, thought that, okay, here we go. We got Kittle in, we got Debo in, we got Ayuk, we got everyone but Trent Williams playing.
Yeah.
Let's see what our offense is all about. And we got goose egged against the Texans, and we were trying to score so hard on that last drive. It was a 4th and 1 play, and they ran an inverted veer, and Trey Lance just straight up made the wrong read. He gave it to the back. The back actually made a great decision. He saw that the wrong read was made, and instead of trying to hit the original hole, tried to
Mhm.
bounce it to the outside where Trey Lance is technically supposed to be if he pulls the ball. And then Trey Lance is just standing in open space. Like, I don't expect him to block. It's the preseason. Not really worth getting injured to lay a block for a guy
Yeah.
in that situation. But at the same time, it's really concerning having a running quarterback not even be able to make the right read on an inverted veer play when it was clear as day. The guy came crashing in towards the running back.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. Who knows what'll happen with him? But yeah, that last preseason game against the Texans wasn't looking so good. I just hope that he can get it figured out. I mean, I know I talk a lot of shit about the Niners, but I hate to see a guy with a lot of potential come in and get his mental game kind of fucked up, which I believe he's kind of suffering with right now because we can see the athleticism, we see the talent,
Yeah.
but he's a young guy, and the media is a cold, cold business that will eat
Yep.
you up alive. So I think he's just got to get off social media and just take it day by day, work on his craft. Still implement that running game that he has, but he needs to work on the passing, getting the reads down, and the mental side of the game. I mean, he needs to learn how to be an elite quarterback. And now he doesn't even have Jimmy G there. There's a bunch of young guys there. I think they need to bring in a veteran and kind of school him up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what's going to happen? Kyle Shanahan is a guru. He does know a lot, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. So I hope if anyone can help this man, it will be Kyle. And but the thing is, with that being said, Kyle's got a big fucking ego, and if you like fuck up once, he gets really mad. So I think he needs to practice some patience with Trey, and they both need to grow together. Because I think he could be a special player. He's got a lot of raw talent, but it needs to be molded to fit the NFL. And yeah, like you said, Colin Kaepernick was a D1 guy. He was in the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC conference, but he was still a D1. And the thing that's scary about Trey is he was D1 AA, North Dakota State guy, playing against schools a lot of times that we never even heard of. I mean, I went to Sac State, and I wasn't a very smart person, but I got into Sac State, and we played against North Dakota State. And like, I don't know. It's just like, dude, I've had class with these guys at Sac State that were going against North Dakota State guys. And I'm like, I could walk onto this team right now, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird, but whatever. Let's get to this video of Tom Brady because Tom Brady is looking really skinny.
Creepy, man.
He's looking creepy. He kind of looks like he's giving me MJ vibes. I feel like he got plastic surgery. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if something's going on with Giselle. I don't know if it's something even with his health, which I apologize for if it is something with his health that's causing him to lose some weight. But let's listen to this interview. They were asking him why he was gone for 11 days from camp, just asking him what's going on, and this is his reply.
It's all personal. You know, everyone's got different situations they're dealing with, so we all have really unique challenges to our life. And, you know, I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of shit going on. So, you know, you just got to try to figure out life the best you can. And, you know, it's a continuous process. So.
How do you not like that answer, though? I mean, he's being vulnerable. He's being a real guy. It shows, like, no matter who the fuck you are, you're always going to have trouble. You're always going to have challenges. So we don't know what's going on with him. But, I mean, I feel bad for him. It looks like something's really affecting him right now. I feel bad for saying he was on The Masked Singer. I don't think he's on The Masked Singer anymore. I think something's going up serious. And I'm pulling for his family. I'm pulling for him. I want to see Tom still do good. I talk a lot of shit about him, but he's still a fucking good guy. The greatest quarterback of all time. Probably the greatest NFL player of all time. So what do you think? What do you think's going on?
It looks like he may have been replaced by a robot.
People were saying that.
Were they? Yeah, because that was the first time I actually listened to any of it. I just saw a little snippet of like his face, and I could tell something was up. He was looking different. His like fucking, I don't know, man. It looks weird, man. Yeah, it's his like chin and cheeks. His cheeks look like they're like caved into themselves. It's
that's what
really
I was thinking.
weird, man. Hold up, let me try to screen share this.
Yeah, throw it up here. I think you just press the share at the bottom, and then it should say share screen.
Okay, hold up. I'm trying to get a picture here.
Yeah. Pull up an old picture of him.
Oh no! It's actually not going to be of him.
Okay.
Let's see here. Now I'm gonna. All right, there's an ad running on this one. Let me freaking get to one where there's not an ad. Let's see here. All right, it should work. I'm gonna go share. Oh, god damn it. I can give me a picture of Bruce Jenner during his transition.
Dude, where your FanDuel.
Oh, okay. That's a good call. So
picture of Bruce Jenner. Yeah, was saying he thinks Tom might be in his transition right now. You think this might be the case? Let's see. Let's look at this. Ooh.
Okay, so notice the caved in cheeks compared to old Bruce with the freaking prominent jawline that fucking Tom Brady used to have. Now, I'm not saying this is a joke. I'm saying this as a concerned fan. There was our parents' generation. There was Bruce Jenner was American fucking hero for a lot of these guys as an athlete, and I know Caitlyn is still a hero for a lot, and no comment on that for me, but
right.
It's unbelievable when you actually like look at the similarities in, especially this bottom left picture, how he goes from having those full cheeks to that caved in look that Tommy's starting to have. And, it's really concerning. I talked to one of our friends' dads a while back, Todd Freitas, some man's man. He fucking will kill a deer with his bare hands and gut it on the spot and eat it raw, that type of guy. And he was telling me he teared up a little bit. He teared up knowing that Brucey ended up a woman, and because it was just such a weird thing for him to see the best athlete he's ever watched go through that transition and know like the stuff that they were going through in the background. And so, fucking maybe Tommy will be a woman and be the first woman quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl pretty soon here, but he'll still be the best.
Dude, Caitlyn Jenner, I mean, she is an American hero. Like, still today, like, she's a fucking badass athlete, one of the best athletes of all time. And I know a lot of people too that are like, fuck, man, really? Like, and maybe the same thing's going on with Tom that's
right?
Going on.
And that's why he was so driven. I don't know, have you seen the Netflix documentary on her? It's called Untold, the Bruce Jenner story.
I have not. No, I have not.
So it's actually really interesting because Caitlyn actually touches on how it frustrates her a lot when people say that a woman won the Olympics, won the decathlon, that Caitlyn Jenner was the one who won the Olympics, right? She actually touches on it and says that frustrates her because it was Bruce, and she openly admits that was Bruce that was the champion. And it was almost like a character in her mind where it was like she created that character and like did everything she could to uphold that character. And that's why she became that champion. That's what drove her and stuff. And Tom Brady has to be the only other guy that I've ever seen with that kind of fucking dedication. And now he's going through the whole cheekbone thing. I don't know, man. It's
crazy.
Me out. I'm weirded out by the whole thing.
Well, we know Tom likes to kiss guys on the mouth. I mean,
he makes out with his kids, very emotional.
We know that Giselle kind of wants him to retire and be home with the family, and he's like, nah, I gotta be with the boys, the locker room, baby. We're gonna take showers together.
Slapping ass,
Slapping ass, I mean,
yeah.
Even if he does want to transition, which this is a wild theory, but even if he is, I still respect Tom. I still love Tom. Like, that'd be fucking cool if he wants to transition while in the NFL and shit. Like, I'm cool with that, but it is wild. Like, maybe I think you might be onto something, Dylan. Like, for real. That's kind of trippy.
Yeah, no, I'm being I'm half kidding, but half of me is like, holy shit, you would like, fuck, this is like a real thing. Like, there has been American sports heroes before that have done it, and crazy, man, crazy.
Jenner was saying he always felt like he was a woman, because I thought it was just like recently where he felt like a woman or something, but it was his whole life.
No, huh? so basically, yeah. What he always felt different, and he always knew that there's like, he used to like go into his mom's room and put on dresses and stuff, but he loved the attention he got from being an athlete and being one of the best athletes. And he was actually a football player in college and had an ACL injury. That was before medical was where it is today with ACLs and stuff. So it was almost like a death sentence. And he realized once he stopped playing sports, he stopped getting a lot of that same attention. And so he was working a job while he was training for the Olympics, and just every free second she had was just grinding, just absolutely like all he wanted to do. He really looked up to this other Olympian that was a decathlon winner from the Czech Republic, and he just wanted to stand on that same stage and like feel like the champion, and like almost as if that would get rid of all of her problems, And so after winning the Olympics and winning that gold medal, he said that he went home and basically like woke up the next morning with the gold medal on her counter and just kind of realized like, this isn't going away. Like, I still have to go deal with all these problems.
Yeah.
And it was like a slow transition, but like over the years you could see it. I don't know if you remember, like everyone was kind of blaming Kim Kardashian's mom over like, oh yeah, she's turning him into a weirdo. Like, look, he's getting like hair transplants, like some plastic surgery. But really, it had nothing to do with that. It was, he always felt like that. And that's just something he started doing. And back to Tommy, dude, that's very similar looks. Can we put one more picture of him back on the screen?
Let's go. Let's do that shit. Oh my God.
So
we got to put the Tommy one up.
So pay attention to the cheekbones here.
Let's look at Tommy. Tom Brady cheek.
Tommy one more time.
Tom Brady cheekbones. Let's see it. Yeah, look, it comes up right away. Oh, look at
look at old Tom.
Look at old Tom right there on the left. And you got to remember, he's like 20 pounds lighter in that picture, because that's when he was originally drafted, and he still has a big face. Look at this. Oh, look at Tom Brady's cheekbones, now undeniably the greatest in NFL history. He's a handsome sucker, and we know. Look at that. That's him. Michigan days. I mean, come on now. And then let's look at the other day. Where is that picture? I know I saw one right here. And boom.
Yep.
Like, look at that, dude. Come on now. Something's going on.
Something's going on.
Who knows, man? Maybe that's what drives him so fucking much. Like you're saying, like with Caitlyn Jenner, I mean, he tries to hide away from it and just fucking grinds his ass off at football, always in the lab, because he doesn't want to transition and be a weirdo. I mean, I don't know. Who fucking knows? But that doesn't.
Either way, he's on my dynasty team. He's my favorite quarterback ever. So let's go, baby.
We love you, Tom. We love you, Tom.
No matter
what. All right, so let's get to the top 3 favorites at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and then we'll talk about our sleepers too. I got to get out of here in like 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to go golfing 30. So,
nice.
All right. Me and Nick Chicoine. Okay, here we go. Let's start with you. Your top 3 at quarterback. Who are your favorite 3 this
year? Tom
Brady,
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
Easy money.
Easy money.
Give me your sleeper. Who's your sleeper?
Tua Tagovailoa and Derek Carr.
There we go. I like those picks. Okay, let me tell you who my favorites are this year. Of course, we got Josh Allen. I really, really like Joe Burrow. And I really like Jalen Hurts. Some sleepers that I have, Russell Wilson and Tua. I gotta agree. If Zach Wilson was still healthy, I would be going with Zach Wilson. I was really liking him this year. I know he's battling a little injury. He had like a minute ACL strain or something. He got a surgery on it to fix it up. He's out there pile driving some milfs in the off season. So he probably sprained it that way, tweaked it a little bit.
Get in the weight room. Get off your mom's friends. Come on,
Right.
Zach.
Come on,
get it
guy.
together. Just try to stay healthy for a whole year.
Let's lock in. But I really like the Jets this year. I don't know why. I think it's like a Texans kind of situation. They got a lot of pieces there. They got Robert Saleh, who I'm a big fan of. I think he's going to do good things there. So I'm curious to see how they do when he gets back. I'll throw him in there as one of my sleepers. On to the running backs. Let's hear your favorite three at the running back position.
So if you're in a redraft league, it goes Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook.
Okay. 100%.
And yeah, Joe Mixon is going to have an absolute monster of a year. He's unreal. He catches balls out of the backfield. He's a touchdown machine. He's going to have an unreal year. As far as sleepers go, I like J.K. Dobbins and I like my boy A.J. Dillon. I think both of them will end up having pretty big years and have a bright future ahead of them.
100%. So same thing. Jonathan Taylor. I think DeAndre Swift going to be really good this year. I was going to say Derrick Henry, but I don't know. After last year's injury, we've seen him being the workhorse. He got surgery in his foot. He's got some metal pieces in there. It's kind of a question mark. So I'll throw in my guy Najee. I really like Najee. I like the situation that's going on over there in Pittsburgh with the quarterback situation when it comes to the run game. I think they're going to use him as a workhorse. He's young. So I think especially in a redraft league, I would like to go Najee. You can get him for a good price. He's slipping about to the 6th pick all the way up to the 8th pick, so you can get him. Austin Eckler, very nice. And my sleepers. Let's go with – I'll try to get some different guys. I was going to say A.J. Dillon, but I really, really like Chase Edmonds this year. I feel like he's a big-time sleeper. And then let's go with Zamir White. Zamir White's not being talked about enough. The only thing my concern with him is he did get 2 ACL tears when he was in college while at Georgia. So he's susceptible to injury. But this guy should have been a first-round talent. He should have been drafted in the first round. We got him in the 3rd or the 4th, I believe. So it was a steal. Everyone was concerned about his knees and everything. But I think he's going to do great as long as he does not get injured, especially on the Raiders. They want to use him as a bully back. Not necessarily a receiving guy, but I really like him. What do you think about Christian McCaffrey this year? Are you trying to take Christian McCaffrey if he's available in the first round?
It's fucked up because you have to take Christian McCaffrey if he's available in the first round, but I don't know if it's a good idea. The guy hasn't got through a full season in the last 2 years. He's missed over half the games. Healthy all of his first 3 years, and it really just depends on his usage rate, how they use him. If they're smart about they're just smart about how many hits he takes. They really got to monitor that because someone with that kind of explosion, you need him in your lineup for a full season, and you can't have him carry the ball 30 times. He's not Derrick Henry's size. He's not going to be able to take that kind of impact through a whole season. He will get hurt if they keep using him like that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you got to take him. Yeah, I think Christian McCaffrey, every game he is on the field, will be a top 3 running back.
Gets like 28 points every week, 35 points. I mean, I've seen like 40 out of him. It's insane.
He's unreal.
He's unreal. He's fucking great. On to the wide receiver. Let's hear your top 3 in the wide receiver position and a couple sleepers.
All right. So Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel are going to be my 3 receivers. And Deebo's kind of a weird one because, like we talked about, Trey Lance kind of sucks. And I think that almost plays in Deebo's favor because it's going to end up taking away balls from Ayuk. Yeah. And it's those balls to Ayuk down the field are going to turn into rocket screens and possibly even handoffs to Deebo Samuel.
100%.
And so I think that actually benefits him a lot. Mm-hmm. And for sleepers, Julio Jones is a guy that's going to have an absolute monster of a year this year, getting passes from possibly a woman. I'm gonna go with 3 sleepers. George Pickens, another one we talked about. George Pickens, I think, is going to get a lot more looks and a bigger usage percentage than most people think. And the
Right.
last one, and I hate to fuck you on this, dude, because I already got a running back that might take over your 3rd round spot.
No.
And let me tell you a wide receiver that might take away your 4th round spot, and his name is Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce is a guy that is an absolute freak of an athlete. Coaches are already talking about him. They really like the way he moves. He has more of a downfield threat than Michael Pittman does, just off of his pure athleticism. He's a guy that's described more of an athlete as a wide receiver right now, but if he puts his work in, develops his hands, develops his route running a little bit, he could be a guy that Matt Ryan absolutely falls in love with, and becomes a real dude in this league. He's already their 2 receiver. He moved up the depth chart before halfway through the preseason, and so he's a guy that just keep your eyes out on him. I think he could be a huge sleeper this year.
100%. He's a great talent, and I think he will help out Matt Ryan tremendously. And if he shows that talent, Matt Ryan's going to keep feeding him. Unfortunately, that will take away from Michael Pittman, but I still love Michael Pittman, and I think it'll help him out to have some other targets there as opposed to like T.Y. Hilton, who was barely on the field or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Michael Pittman because I saw last year with Carson Wentz throwing him the ball and with nobody else really on the field, he ended up figuring it out a little bit. He is a young, tall, athletic guy. So I love the more talent that they have at a place for the number 1, just because it spreads out the ball a little bit, allows him not to get double covered sometimes. And I mean, he's still gonna get touches, and I really like both of those guys. So if you could get either of them, go for them. Okay, on to me. Let's go to my favorite 3 wide receivers, the top 3. I got to go Jamar, Justin, the LSU boys. And I'll give you 4. Stephon Diggs, I feel like, is going to step up this year. I feel like last year he didn't have as big of a season as we're used to. But Josh Allen, he has a lot of targets down there. He's got a great team. But Stephon's going to eat. I don't know what it is. I don't have any rhyme or reason for it, but I just have a feeling like Stephon's going to go off. I think he is capable of being the number 1 wide receiver in the league. And A.J. Brown, I really like him in Philadelphia now. He doesn't have Ryan Tannehill throwing him the ball. He's got Jalen Hurts, a slight upgrade. And I told you this last year, and I got laughed at. I believe A.J. Brown is the most talented, if not the best wide receiver in the league. And we saw that in the playoffs. I mean, that guy was an absolute monster. He takes on teams all by himself. You just throw him the fucking ball, he's going to go up and grab it. Get it done. To some sleepers. Allen Lazard. I really like Allen Lazard. You can get him really late. He's the number 1 wide receiver for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is hyping this guy up every other day, talking about how he's so talented, how he's the guy, he's a future Hall of Famer, blah, blah, blah. And he's shit talking all the rookies. So I think that's going to be his new target. Over there. Also, Valdez-Scantling, I think he'll do fine. But I like Allen Lazard a little more. And then Gabe Davis. I absolutely love Gabe Davis. This might take away from Stephon Diggs' pick that I made earlier. But if he's available in those later rounds, I think he's going to be a monster. We've seen him in the playoffs get like 3 touchdowns in 1 game. He's going to be really good, a great value pick. And yeah, I think that's about it for my sleepers. I mean, I could go all day with the wide receivers this year.
Yeah.
I really love the wide receivers. Let me see if I can get one more for just the people out there. Let me see. You know who I don't like, though, is Kenny Golladay, New York Giants. Stay away from that fucking guy. God, he's looking shitty right now. Yeah, that's it. I'll just go with those guys for now. Kicker. Who's your favorite kicker? Let's go over that.
Freaking Evan McPherson, no doubt.
Ooh, McFearless. I think I got McFearless just because he's a little bit younger and it's a dynasty. But obviously, I think Justin Tucker is the best. That guy does not miss. Also, another kicker, Daniel Carlson. I mean, that guy's amazing too for the Raiders. Young guy. You want to cover anything else? Maybe a defense or something like that?
No, just 2 bets. 2 bets I want to talk about real quick.
Let's do it.
So we covered mostly everything that was on the board. They still don't have rush yards or any of like the prop bets up for these games. So, but they did add the Bucks and Cowboys game. Spreads at -1.5. money line for the Bucks -126, plus 108 for the Cowboys. I think you could hammer the Bucks on the spread, and that's a good bet. I'd put a lot of money on that. The Cowboys stink and the Bucks are really good. So, usually when you're in that situation, the spread's more than -1.5. The other one I want to talk about is something that our friend Cody Cameron brought to my attention that I actually overlooked. And at the time last week, I didn't feel as strong about it. I thought, hey, Trey Lance, I try to stay optimistic. Maybe he's a guy. He proved that he's not. And so the Niners win total is at 9.5. And we'll be lucky to win 8 games. So that was actually one of my biggest bets of all time. I threw it on, I want to say Thursday, right after we got fucking our shit kicked in by the Texans.
Yep.
And yeah, right after that, I was like, you know what? I got to put a lot of money on this before fucking they drop the amount of games we're supposed to win, because the only teams we're going to beat are the Seahawks and I want to say the Texans. We play them in the regular season too, but we'll probably fucking lose.
You guys got the Bears week 1, right?
Yeah, we got Bears week 1. I was super confident about that. That's another thing. Thanks for mentioning that. Take that out of all your fucking parlays. I said that was a safe fucking pick. You take that out of everything. I have no clue what's going to happen, man. The Niners might stink all year.
Don't tell me that, Dylan. Don't tell me that, because I already made a parlay right here. I got super excited. I was looking at the money lines. And I got a 7-team parlay. We know how that usually works out, but I'm going to share it with the people. Buffalo Bills, Las Vegas Raiders. We have your Detroit Lions, one of your favorite teams, going up against the Eagles. Miami Dolphins, Niners, Colts, Bucks. I mean, I like to be ballsy. I like to throw a couple of underdogs in there, get the value up, get a nice little payout. I bet $10 on it. I'm going to get paid out $500 if it hits. So I don't care if I lose. But I don't know. I really like all these games right here. Let me look at the week 1 schedule because I forget who they play exactly. But I believe these are all winnable games. I know that the Bills are taking on the Rams, and I believe in the Bills, so I bet on them. What the hell? Oops. 2022, sir. There we go. So, yeah, I like the Bills in that game. I went with the Niners over the Bears. I know you're talking a lot of shit about the Niners, but I don't know. I don't see the Bears getting it done. Who knows? Maybe I could be wrong. Lions versus the Eagles. Maybe I am watching too many highlights of Hard Knocks. I'm a Dan Campbell guy. He's getting me pumped up. He's making me want to run through a fucking brick wall, all the shit I'm seeing on Instagram. We got the Colts versus the Texans. I think the Colts absolutely shit all over them. Dolphins going against the Patriots. I'm putting all my money on the Dolphins because of all the videos that I'm watching of Tyreek and the Tua connection. And then and the Chargers. Absolute disrespect. I threw money on this straight up because the payout is plus 150. We played the Chargers 2 times last year, and we beat them, both times. I know they have Khalil Mack. I know that they got Joey Bosa. I know that our line isn't necessarily looking the best right now, but I'm putting my trust in my guys. I think we got a special team this year, and week 1 we always tend to do really good for some reason. So I'm just going with that. I mean, it's weird. It's like football, there's always patterns in it, and for whatever reason, the Raiders always start off the season really good, and then usually it gets worse. So maybe the trend will continue. And then the Bucks versus the Cowboys. I mean, Tom Brady's back. Tom Brady's Tom Brady. The Cowboys are the Cowboys. So yeah, I'm going with those teams. $10 gets you $500. If you're looking to have some big balls, if you're looking to ride with me, I am similar to the Raiders. I start off my year really hot when it comes to betting. I get a big payout, and then it leads to me throwing in even more wilder parlays. So if you're ever going to ride with me, week 1 is the way to do it. So let's go, guys. Who got a big nut sack out there? Whoever's got the Randy Marsh nut sack right now, let's do it, baby. Let's do it together. What you got to say, Dylan?
I think there's 3 big takeaways from this show. Maybe 4. So let's start with freaking bet on the Bucks. The Bucks are probably going to win.
Yeah.
Don't rape chicks. That should be clear, but if you didn't know, don't do it. It'll ruin your NFL career, ruin your fucking life. Draft Tua. If Tua is available in the 7th round, take him. And if Tom Brady becomes a woman, you heard it here first.
Dude, I think if Tom Brady becomes a woman, we're gonna go like viral. Everyone, I mean, we're gonna be the biggest show in America. That
Yeah,
could be
no doubt. We need to get a snippet of that out right away, and hopefully that shit goes viral. And now I'd hate that because that pretty much eliminates all chances of Tommy coming on the show, unless it's true. Unless it's true, maybe then he shows face. But if it's not true, he's gonna hate us.
But we said we love him, though. You know, we're being respectful a little bit.
Yeah, but he doesn't want that secret coming out yet, you know, or he'd be telling the world that he was fucking, you know, just getting some hormonal treatment in those 11 days.
Yeah. Maybe he's got a full on vagina now.
So
we love you, Tom.
Man. We love Tom Brady. We love him.
Hey, I'm currently in the process of trying to think up some shirts for this season. I think we got our first shirt, Tom Brady, with becoming a woman.
So those will be on sale soon. There will be a split pic of Tom and fucking Bruce side by side. The front will be them as fucking Super Bowl winner, decathlon winner. The back will be them transitioning.
Yeah.
And it's gonna say we love everyone on it.
We do. So, yeah. We all love every gender. We love people of all sexual orientations on this show. No judgment here. Tom, if you want to come on, jump on the podcast, we'd love to have you. Yeah, we know that help out his rep a lot. I mean, we get lots of viewership on this show. That could open up to a new audience that
true.
Yeah. So Tom, open invitation, buddy.
All right. So our fifth takeaway: we love trannies on this show. We love them.
We do. We do. We love them. I love them
just as much as Dwight Howard.
Oh no! Sending shots at Dwight Howard. Oh my god! All right. Well, is there any other bets at all that you wanted to touch on, or what's going on?
No, all the rest of them. You gotta look at last week's show. We touched on.
Yeah.
Everything we should be betting
on.
The
Lions and the Steelers are playing right now. Huh? I didn't know that. And the New York Giants and the Jets today. Cool. I have to watch those. All right, man. All right. Well, it's been fun, buddy.
We're gonna go shoot par like last time.
Yep. We'll do it next week. We're gonna figure out what to probably just I think we gotta break down some of the schedules for each team, you know, and get down to this more betting, you know. We got to make the people some money. We've helped them out with their fantasy teams. After this weekend and next weekend, all the drafts should be completed. So,
and I also think cuts will be made, so prop bets should be out for week 1 by next week, and that's where a lot of the big betting comes in. A lot of these prop bets is where the money's at. So, stay tuned.
100%. All right, guys, stay tuned. Come back next week. Me and Dylan will be here, getting you even more knowledge. No more fantasy, we promise. No more draft boards, but we are out, Ito. We are done. Peace out, guys.